Alrighty. It says that we are on air. Awesome. I hope that everybody's doing well. How are you doing? Bit of a... It's kind of blustery outside and snowing quite a bit, so not a bad time to pull up the game and continue on. Just let me get these links out, then we can get started. Hope that everyone's doing well. Staying safe, warm, and happy. Let me see here. Yep, let me get this. Copy the link. Get it on our minds. Then I'll throw it up onto the Discord servers. Alrighty. That one's up. Now let me get these into the servers, then we can get started. I misspelled that. Forgive my lack to use the English language. There we go. Okay. And there we are. Alrighty, where's the stream channel? There you are. Awesome. All right. Now it's all out. Let me pull up the chat. Let's see what we got going on here. All right. Alrighty. So nobody in yet, but that's fine. I got the chat pulled up, and as folks come in, we will begin. Well, no, I mean, we'll... Whoa! Shit. That was not correct. I accidentally switched the channel on my television. Can't see anything that way. There we go, that's better. Okay. So... where we kind of left off, Yukimasa turns out to be actually a little more horrifying than the image that he saw himself as. He is a real piece of messed up mental work. He seems to really enjoy the the ability to maim and torture people, and it's pretty disturbing. And makes it more tragic for Pauline, considering that she saw him as pretty much the center of her world, and she had no clue that this guy was an absolute monster. And then, of course, it makes it even more horrible for her, considering that, you know, in her last dying moments, she thought that he had left her for another woman. So. Yeah, the little tragedy with Pauline just continues even worse, but... So anyways, let's get going. Okay. Inspect your memories. Okay. And let's continue. His psyche drifted erratically between human and beast. If he accepted himself as a human, it might cause memories better left buried to return to him. If he accepted himself as a beast, in exchange for his memories, he would no longer be able to rejoin human society. The white-haired girl fervently supported him in these precarious times. I was quite amazed. I had never imagined she would grow to be such a strong woman. Nevertheless, God is a cruel master. For what strength he gave her spiritually, he took an equal part from her physically. Though she persisted, day in and day out, to stay by the man's side, one day she suddenly fell ill. With her in the throes of a high fever, and not knowing the cause, he fell into a perpetual panic. There was no medicine in the mansion. They could hardly manage to put together sufficiently nutritious meals. Though there was no medicine, maybe there was something else that could make her feel better. However, everything he could think of required him to leave the house. Hey. Is there anything you would like? Anything I would like? I'm considering visiting the village. I see. You're going to the village. I thought I might be able to get some medicine. I'd prefer to bring a doctor here, but no one would come if they learned you were in this mansion. So, he was planning to put on a disguise to enter the village as a person. The white-haired girl smiled when she heard of his idea. She had, after all, always wanted him to think of himself as human. However, because she was so pure-hearted, she did not comprehend the full extent of the slaughter he had confessed to committing. The revenge he had taken on those who had chased him around. How sinister his cackling and furious his reaping. She did not grasp just how serious it was. She had faith that Bestia had kindness in his heart. If you cannot get any medication, then buy me some oranges, please. Oranges? This is a land blessed by the sun. You should be able to find some wonderful fresh oranges. Will that make you feel any better? Yes, it should. Okay. Bestia's mind was made up. He would don the skin of a human for her to protect the peace he had. He would return to the place that left him with many painful memories. It was, to him, the source of his fear. Whenever he let his guard down, their shouts would play back in his mind. Bestia. 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 Hideous beast. Though he had physically conquered the people who lived there, Bestia's memories of the village still haunted him. But her health meant more to him than any of that. He was willing to cast aside his fear if it meant the white-haired girl would recover. The girl still in her bed, he made his way out of the mansion. He crossed the overgrown forest, pushing forward one step at a time, all the while trying to brush aside his apprehension, until he arrived at the village. This is where they called me a beast, where I was almost killed, and where I killed them. I look different than I did then. I'm dressed differently too, but Can I play the part? Can I act convincing enough human? Ooh, let's fix that. Sorry. Having my computer make noise. That's better. That should fix it. I have no choice. There are no other villages. I can't let her die. Excuse me. Could you answer a question for me? A village man is looking at me. Only for a moment. But for me, that moment is torturously long. A faint look of panic crosses his face, perhaps in fear of my appearance. He's staring at me. Will he point his finger and call me a beast? Will the other villagers come to kill me? However, I haven't seen you around here before. He didn't recognize me. Yes, I come from a faraway land, and I'm unfamiliar with this area, so... You're dressed like a nobleman. On a trip or something. Something like that. You look really pale, though. Searching for a doctor? Yes, but not for me. My companion has come down with a fever. Sorry to hear it. Well, I'd love to introduce you, but he's out right now. He won't be back for a few days. I see. And where might I be able to buy fruit? There's a shop just around the corner. Thank you very much. Don't mention it. Do take care, traveler. It's dangerous out there. I'm starting to attract attention. But not the same kind as before. They don't look at me with revulsion, hatred, or furious indignation. They're simply curious. The village feels different than last time. Could it have changed this drastically? Or is it because I really did look like a beast then? And now I look like a human? I don't know. Excuse me. Me? Yes? I would like to buy some fruit. Some oranges. Oranges? Alrighty, just a sec. The fruit vendor doesn't recognize me as the beast either. Any other year and they'd be a lot plumper than this. But this year, we've had the end of the war and the whole mess with the beast. It's just been crazy. If you'd like, how about you come back in a few years and try our oranges again? They'll be several times better, I assure you. I'll keep that in mind. You bet. That'll be... I'm sorry, I don't have any local currency. Would this suffice? What? How? Is... no good, I take it? No, on the contrary. It's hardly fair for you, trading a jewel for a few oranges. That's all I have to offer. I hope you can exchange it for money. Sure. You nobles are something else. Noble. Aren't you? Though if you wander around dressed too well, you put yourself in danger. You might find yourself stripped bare by a bandit, or perhaps even catch the attention of the beast. The beast. Everyone mentions the beast. They speak of me. Have you heard the tales? I have not. There's a beast's den not too far from this village. It's attacked before, but we've been living in fear, never knowing when it might attack again. But all that ends today. Huh? The men have finally found their spines. They all got together and went out to exterminate it. What? And you'll never guess who's responsible. A kid. A little boy is spearheading the attack. Huh? Never would have expected a little kid to whip all our lazy, cowardly men into shape. The boy's the only one who knows where the beast's den. Hold on! Huh. What about your oranges? These men have banded together. And they're going to kill the beast? Why now? Why when I'm not there? I'm the beast. I'm right here. I'm what you're trying to hunt. The only person at the mansion right now is her. Oh my god. White haired girl doesn't deserve this shit neither. Oh, man. I swear to God, if everybody dies except for Yukimasa here, that's awful. Hello, Synth. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. He regretted not asking the fruit vendor how long ago the party set off. Though what good would the knowledge have done him? He had to hurry back regardless. The sun was beginning to set, draping the surrounding in a deep blackness. As if to keep him from returning home, the night wrapped its hands around his head, covering both eyes. In what direction did he have to head to return to the mansion? He stormed through the forest, and eventually, the mansion appeared before him, like the world fading into view after a dream. Bestia was a tempest in the night, blowing through the overgrowth toward the house. Please make it in time. I need her. I need the peace she provides me. Last thing I want for her is to die. In the blink of an eye, he was through the door, charging down the mansion's halls. He could not sense anyone else inside, though. All he could hear was the whoosh of the wind blowing into the house from somewhere. It seemed the window was open. Where are you? Where have you gone? Answer me! Please answer me! He cried out the girl's name again and again, until his throat was sore and his voice hoarse. But she did not respond. He rushed into her bedchamber. Hey! Hey! Hello! Where are you? Where are you? Answer me! Huh? The man swung his head back and forth so hard he thought he might break his own neck, and when he made to look down, he slipped, falling on his tailbone. He felt something slick on his hands, a sensation he would recognize anywhere. The liquid was still warm. No. That cannot be. It can't. It can't. It cannot be! Muttering incomprehensibly in fear, he crawled back through the door of her chamber and into the corridor. Like a genuine beast, he followed the trail of slippery fluid on all fours. The trail glimmered like red wine. It stretched down the hall, past the living room, smeared across the floor like it had been wiped down with a mop. The man crawled and crawled and crawled, until at last he reached the stairs leading down to the cellar. Oh, and this is the cellar where the maid found Yukimasa, and this is also the door that we were taken to that started this whole vision. The ruby trail continued. From beyond the door, he could hear men's voices. With a howl, the man stumbled down the stairs, throwing open the wooden door. His first impression was that the stench of blood was suffocating. And indeed, there he discovered the white-haired girl. He found himself unable to even scream. Her once porcelain skin was no longer even sickly pale. It was now the bloodless color of dirt. She was sprawled haphazardly onto the southern floor, dried blood stains around her half-open mouth. And those lips were, naturally, lacking their former rosy sheen. Her body was covered in an array of wounds, but the most prominent was the man's singular sword standing tall in her chest. This is the bestia? He doesn't even look the same. It's him. He's the same guy. He's the bestia. Several villagers surrounded him at the behest of a young boy. He's gotten himself dressed up all proper and fancy, but good clothes don't make him a good man. Isn't that right, you bestia? No. You murderer! What? Why did you kill her? Why did you kill her? Why did you kill her? Why? You want to know why? Her death was an accident, I'd say. I feel bad about what happened. But any woman who would live with a man like you must be a witch. Does that hurt? Are you hurting right now, you bestia? Then maybe you now understand. You not only stole my parents and friends from me, you ripped the last shred of hope I had from my hands. Do you get it? Do you finally understand how I feel? Now do you know how it feels to have someone you care about taken from you? Pauline was desperately trying to find you. Why? Why would you kill someone so devoted to you? Do you understand what you've done? I'm asking you a question, you goddamned murderer. I see. And now, I have nothing left. What? The man stepped forward, almost perfectly calm. His panic had vanished, as if it were never there. His eyes were disturbingly vacant. Perhaps the sorrow had overpowered him, beating his heart into quiet submission. No, that was not the case. Though his eyes were empty, a faint smile spread across his lips. The transition was swift, as though a gear has switched in his mind. The boy and the other villagers were frozen in place at the sight. Before long, the man was standing there before the deceased girl's body. And then, he pulled the blade from her chest. I knew it. I really was a beast. And what I wanted was a tether. What are you yammering on about? Didn't you care about that woman? Didn't you choose her over Pauline? Who you then threw aside and butchered? What is wrong with you? What was she to you? She was my serenity. But she's dead now. There's nothing I can do about that. Peace, calm, tranquility. The The man's behavior was downright eerie, causing the boy to flinch back. Believing he'd had everything taken from him and could not possibly lose anything more was, I imagine, what had allowed him to stand up to the beast, the source of such crippling fear. Yet now, he found himself unable to move. He found himself in the face of an incomprehensible creature, paralyzed with fear. And the villagers were similarly dumbstruck. Not even I could understand his behavior. What the hell's wrong with you? How can you laugh at this? I don't get it. How indeed. I wonder myself. I don't know either. But you know what? It doesn't matter anymore. Because every last one of my anchors has broken off and sunk into the sea. Damn it, get moving, kill it! I'll slaughter every last one of you. Ah, yes. My whole life, I've always wanted to kill. They didn't skimp out on the face details for his portraits, eh? What was it that afflicted you with such madness? Losing your memory in the shipwreck? The abuse and insult you suffered at the villagers' hands? Or was it your grief at not being able to return to your homeland? No, none of those were the root. You were always like this. You always bore those twisted desires. You held these deep, constant urges to cause others harm. That is your essence. The real you hidden beneath the mask of sincerity. The true beast was your heart. The beast was a convenient skin for you to wear. You wanted to be a brutal, savage murderer. You never really loved the white-haired girl, or the black-haired woman for that matter. You were merely attached to them, fixated on the idea of a world of tranquility. You used this piece to anchor yourself, to prevent from drifting off into the ocean of your desires. You yearned to cause pain, while also hungering for the opposite, a calm life. You idolized the idealized life, spent in quiet harmony with another, because you knew just how difficult it would be for you to attain. Far more difficult for you than satisfying the cravings, but not impossible. I, personally, had hoped you would find peace with someone rather than descend into savagery. It may have been only superficial, but it would have been very human. But ultimately, peace slipped through your fingers, and no one was left to suppress your desires. You cannot, after all, hold them back yourself. What a tragic man. What a hopeless man you are. So I'm curious, is he going to be able to kill them all, or is he going to meet his end right here? Feels like this chapter is probably coming to a close. The door to the cellar swung shut. You had fallen to the floor at some point, unable to bear the stench of blood. The maid stood behind you, her arms wrapped around around your shoulders. The maid's voice was chillingly gentle. That was quite horrific, wasn't it? Are you feeling unwell, Master? Oh my, you're shaking, Master. Fear not. I assure you, the beast will not come through that door. I am here for you, and I'll continue to hold you for as long as you need to settle your nerves. Oh dear, you feel like you might freeze in my arms. Am I really that cold? I cannot tell my own temperature. You should know what happened to Bestia after that. I could open the door once more and show you. But I have no intention of knowingly tossing you back into the den of horrors. He lost the rest of his humanity, becoming Holy Beast. Okay, so yeah, we did reach the end of that chapter. But, to tell just a little more of the tale, it is my understanding that an entire village was ravaged shortly thereafter. He was a bewitchingly talented swordsman. Not a single person living in that village could stand up to him. In the woman's memories you saw, he was a gentleman, yes? But even in the mildest of men can change. Though personally, I believe that without an element of monstrousness buried somewhere within, a man cannot become a beast, regardless of what may push him in that direction. Sorry, I'm having a hard time reading. Do you follow? Now tell me, Master, have you remembered anything? Oh dear, I was afraid of that. I am a remarkably patient maid. I shall accompany you for as long as you require. So do please find your memories. Now, let us head to the next door. The mansion is quite large, so hold on to my hand. We would not want to get separated. You and the maid travel down the dimly lit hall, passing by the mirror once again. The light from the candle in the maid's hand was the only thing that reflected in it. The maid herself did not appear. However, just as you were about to avert your eyes, you thought you caught a glimpse of white hair. You heard a voice echo in the darkness. And when you turned to face the mirror again, the glass was the color of obsidian, as if it had been painted over. The voice seemed to be coming from beyond the mirror. The maid did not turn back, evidently having not heard anything. You... Ah, shit! Can I save? Oh, it won't let me save. Ah. I'm going to extend my hand, but I want to see if I can save. Shit. Well, this option came out of nowhere. Okay. We're going to extend my hand. Okay. One second. Okay. Okay, we're going to save it here in case I got to go back for any reason. Then up here we'll remember that's the... we're still on the second one, but pretty close. So if I have to go back for whatever reason, that shouldn't take too long. Okay. 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 You extended your hand toward the darkness, overrunning the mirror. The second your hand brushed against the surface, the tips of your fingers sunk into it. And next thing you realized, your whole world was sinking into darkness. You could hear a voice. I am the witch. It's getting foggy. Looks like it might rain. Maybe we should take a little break. You want to keep going? Oh, all right then. This deep in the forest? Thank you very much. You must be tired after such a long journey. This is the mansion I'm looking for, yes? You could have said something. Oh well. I should get going, I guess. Does no one live here? But if that's the case, then why was I... Such a big door. Please open. It's not locked, I guess. I wonder if the window's open. Darn, not a hint of light. Hello? Is anyone there? Please don't tell me it's actually abandoned. I suppose I can't know without looking around a bit more. What do we have here? Drapes? I see a little light beyond... It's so pretty. It looks like an angel? Why would someone cover this up? It's beautiful. With a little more light, it'd be... Please do not touch the drapes. Huh? Or the windows. A gentleman named Michael, and he's got the white hair and the red eyes. Okay, this is interesting. This might make it a little more likely that the white-haired girl might be a reincarnated character each time, though obviously you can't confirm that it's the same being yet, so white-haired girl still might be a separate character. And also, probably is a separate character considering that Michael is just referred to as by his name. Doesn't call him like the white-haired man or something like that, so. Anyways. I'm sorry for coming in uninvited, but, I did announce myself. Is this, your mansion? It is. Thank goodness. I was afraid it was deserted. I suspect you would have preferred it if this house were abandoned. Oh no, not at all. I would be scared to death staying in a dark mansion all by myself. I'm sorry. No ill will intended. But I do think it could do with some light. That way you could see where you were talking. Or walking, sorry. You don't need to see to talk. Holy shit. Hello, Mr. David, Felanid Tech Priest. What's even going on in this game? Never heard of it. It's a visual novel, and it's pretty good, a really good one so far, I would say. So yeah, little if you're coming into it, later, the whole premise is that there is a mansion that tends to have an abundance of tragedies, and in order to understand, we're trying to regain memories in order to figure out what's going on and figure out the links between all of them. That is putting it very, very, very simply. Okay. And, David, where do I know you from? I get the feeling I should know. Okay, let's continue in the meantime. And I'm sure this room would look splendid illuminated. Not necessary. I make do perfect well as things are. How can you see when it's so dark? I have an abundance of candles and oil for lamps. I am not in want of means of creating light. If he's an albino too, then that would make sense. It is not your place to criticize my lifestyle. If you need light, you are free to leave. If you are in need of money, help yourself to some of the furniture. There's a village not far from here. Trade it for food, and make your way to a larger town. I am no longer able to freely return to the city. I cannot go back there. Please, don't chase me out. I see. And do you ask this of me, aware of how people refer to this mansion? They say that a witch lives here. Not merely a witch. A cursed witch. If you remain here, you too shall likely suffer for your own destruction. You're worried for my well-being? Witch or not, my mind is made up. Which will strike you first, I wonder? Regret or the curse? You seem to be doing just fine. It's only a tale. The witch is real, very much so. It is not a legend nor a fairy tale. The witch's name was Morgana. There's your title drop. Is me. So each of the white-haired characters have been called a witch. And Michael was directly referred to. Okay. What was that? Giselle? Oh my, what is the matter, Master? Why are you just standing in place? There's nothing there. The maid did not seem to have seen anything. You made to ask her about the scene you had just witnessed. Master? You look like you've just seen a ghost. What is the matter? Have a little rest before we move on? You do not wish to remain here. Still not fond of mirrors? Yes, yes, now let us be off. I too dearly wish for you to return to your old self as soon as possible, Master. If your desire is to push onward, then I could hardly be happier. Now, follow me. Yeah, I don't know if I want to be looking at that much longer. It's a simple thing to do, but I don't know, that really creeps me out. You followed the maid's lead, returning to the living room. From there, you climbed a set of stairs, your hands sliding through the dust, and had settled on the ebony railing. When you stepped out of sight of the mirror, the maid returned to normal. You had been on the verge of remembering something, but you were no longer in a position to be concerned about such things. For the chill in the air within the mansion seemed to have intensified. Standing at one end of a long corridor, you asked the maid, "When was the mansion built?" "I would imagine you know more about that than me, Master." "Yes, I know. You have not yet regained your memories. I was simply teasing you. I've been a servant of this house for many, many years, but the truth is, I do not know everything about it. All I know is that the mansion is cursed, and that it has brought misfortune upon its residents since times of old. I can make a conjecture as to when it began, but I believe you should figure it out for yourself, Master. There is no guarantee my perspective is the correct one. Now, let us proceed." You and the maid traveled down the dimly lit corridor. While the layout of the house was the same as in the eras of the flaxen-haired boy and the beast, the bleak, colorless gloom felt incredibly dreary. On the wall, partway down the hall, hung a painting. The painting, which depicted a beautiful landscape, was oddly entrancing, but you did not have time to appreciate the artwork. Your hand in the maid's, you passed by the painting. Before long, a door came into sight at the end of the hall. This door is what I would like to show you next, Master. Listen closely. Do you hear the voices? Lively but rough, energetic but coarse. What lies beyond this door is neither a period of elegance and abundance like the first, nor one of ruin and savagery like the second. Technology and culture had become quite developed. Cameras and photography had been invented. It was a time of great progress and many breakthroughs. And for that reason, those who lived in it were constantly seeking to try new things. The tale I'm about to tell you is one of a man who wagered everything on his ambitions. I hope that what you see, Master, will stir something in your heart. Now, through the door we go. Please, do not let go of my hand. The maid pushed open the door. Colorful balls bounced around atop a long, dark green table. One man, dressed in black and standing by the billiards table, turned toward the door. The room was inundated with eye-watering cigar smoke, causing you to squeeze your eyes shut. The third door. Okay. 1860. Oh, this is one of my favorite periods. Okay. I'm excited for this. There we go. We got some cogs going on here. All right. That era was a rat race of innovation and development. The smoke was so thick you could hardly see more than a few feet ahead of you. Oh, I'm liking the music too. I could compare it to a dense morning fog, but that might give the impression of beauty and that there was little to be found in this haze. Do you see the silhouettes of several men in the smoky room? The one in the middle. The one looking in your direction, master, was the present master of the house. Okay. I'm gonna go with Jacopo. Love the outfit. That is really cool. Alrighty, so I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but I'm going with Jacopo. His name was Jacopo, and though he dressed in such fine attire, I sincerely doubt he understood how splendid the furnishings left in the mansion truly were. I'm a faithful servant of this house, and I would not, for the life of me, dare speak ill of my master. However, this is a time long past. I imagine God would be so kind as to turn a blind eye to a little bit of honesty. I was not terribly fond of my master back then. He had wavy hair the color of over-dried tea leaves, a piercing gaze, an arrogant smile, and he wore a hat that made him look rather haughty. He put his trust into money, renown, and rank. He loved only the iron and steel that had revolutionized so many industries. He had not the slightest bit of love or care for other people. At the very least, that is what I believed at the time. Take a look around the room, master. Jacopo had remodeled it into a recreation area. A billiards table sat at the center of the room, and the downward-facing lights hanging from the ceiling were special made. The light shone upon the dark green stand like a stage. Cigars and bourbon lined glass cases installed in places of bookshelves. The cases were always fully stocked, their contents available to partake of readily. At that particular moment, as he had many times before, Jacopo had invented several friends and acquaintances, and they were entertaining themselves. His wealthy, high-ranking acquaintances had a variety of hair colors, from polished brass to the brown of a baby robin to the color of sunburnt wheat. There was also much greater variation in skin tone compared to the visitors and residents of previous eras. But that was hardly any surprise, for this mansion sat upon land inhabited largely by immigrants, the New World. So this mansion moves locations too. I think we had an inkling of a hint there, but I just wondered if, did they just not mention that the mansion was on the seaside? But no. I really want to learn more about the actual house now. What's the matter? What are you looking at? Nothing. I just thought I heard someone say my name. Ain't no one here, unless you're seeing a ghost. I don't believe in such nonsense. It's an old house with a long history. Wouldn't be surprised if it had a ghost or two. But a place is gonna be haunted. I'd take a princess over a bloody broad any day. A princess, eh? And when she showed up, you'd have your way with the ghost lady, am I right? Color me impressed, son. You're jumping her bones, and she ain't even got any to jump. Come on now, that's hardly fair. Now, mind you could even do with a ghost. My God, are you men or children? This is my house. I'd rather you didn't talk about it like that. Just the blatherings of a couple of drunks. Pretend you didn't hear nothing. For the love of God. In any event, whatever happened to the printer you invested in? I haven't heard their name come up in some time. Can we please avoid that topic? It's been quite the headache for me. I thought it'd pay off, but it always sounded sketchy to me. I'd recommend you pull out unless you find yourself with nothing left but a nice fat pile of debt. You could have mentioned that beforehand. Oh, this is killing me. The men's deep voices resonated in the cloudy room. As they imbibed alcohol and puffed on their cigars, they conversed mostly about business and money. Jacopo and the rest of the men were a breed known as investors. You might call them tacticians. They survived on information attained before anyone else by making swift decisions and having foresight. Though instead of flesh and bone, their soldiers were made of ink and paper. To an outsider, this meeting might appear to be a congregation of friends, but in reality, they were observing one another, gathering information and anything else they could use to get ahead. At times, money and information were exchanged directly, and when they were no longer of financial value to one another, the relationship would pop like a bubble and dissipate into nothing. But you know, Jacopo, you can't be sure this railroad you're so passionate about is going to bear fruit neither. You don't even know if it'll get finished. And even if they do connect the tracks, will it really be in the shape for people to ride? It's a pipe dream. The transcontinental railroad of yours. Jacopo went silent, but I'm certain this is what was going through his head. You're a bunch of damned imbeciles if you can't see the entire countries put their weight behind this endeavor. This is why you have so much trouble making a few thousand. At the time, a great railway was being built across the breadth of the continent. Construction was spearheaded by two large rail companies in competition for both prestige and a bigger share of its massive national enterprise. The Union Pacific Railroad Company started building from the east, and the Central Pacific Railroad Company from the west. But government bonds alone were not enough to finance the massive undertaking. By the way, there's been some less than pleasant reports about workers dying on the job for the company you chose, Central Pacific. Ah, you mean how they're using explosives to blast through the mountains? Making quite a bang they are. But if it gets to be much bigger to fix, they're not going to be able to continue construction. You should at least put your money in a more sure bet of the two, the Union Pacific. It'll cost you to hire replacement workers, but if they keep kicking the bucket, you're going to have trouble finding more. My goodness. And here I thought you all had spines. You think we're going to run out of those workers just because a few ate it? There are so many that we don't even know what to do with them all. There's not a chance that well will dry up. And if, by some chance, it does, all we have to do is buy up a ship full of blacks or yellows. You won't get anywhere if you spend your time worrying about a few measly laborers. Jesus Christ. Holy shit. Just came out casually. Different times and all. This is an endeavor backed by the entire nation. Their deaths are honorable in service of their country. The biggest loss is not of people's lives, but of time. The longer a project takes, the more money it costs, and less profit we make. What we seek is rapid progress. Even the methods to obtain it are messy or deadly. The other men in the room chuckled uncomfortably at Jacopo's distasteful choice of words. Do you agree with this way of thinking, Master? Perhaps he does have a point, and the great sacrifices necessary to accomplish great things. And it is true that tragedy often lies in the shadows of the splendor times long past. Furthermore, the way people see the world changes with the times, so I hesitate to criticize him too severely. Now, as I'm sure you have already picked up on, he was an investor who had put money into a railroad company. He also possessed several crude oil refineries, riding on the world's second wave of industrial development. The mansion, too, bustled with life, in a way it never had before. Dozens of maids, including me, gardeners, chefs, sculptors, artists. At times, we had even had writers coming in and out of the house. There was rarely a moment of silence. However, I was not terribly fond of the hustle and bustle, personally. Please do not get me wrong. I am hardly opposed to the mansion being cheerful. It was just, how should I put it? The splendor of the time seemed superficial, heartless. Oh God, things don't change. I could go on a tangent about that. Feels pretty similar. Though I do say, I love the mid to late 1800s. Such a cool time period, aesthetically and historically. Anyways, it was as though everyone was being rushed along by some unknown invisible force. Part of it was, I expect, caused by the growing divide between those standing at the top and sitting at the bottom. Or perhaps, the mansion was simply taking after its master. There's no time to waste. Everything is resting upon the success of this project. Whatever it takes, I will ensure it happens. I need more money and more power. Suddenly, a restrained knock on the door stopped in his train of thought. Sorry, tongue twist. From beyond the door came a woman's voice, gentle as a soft spring breeze. Pardon me, I have made some tea. May I offer anyone a cup? Oh, there she is! She looks younger than she did in the last one, but, you know, I might be wrong. Maybe it's just her hair length or something. Not as young as the first door, but I don't know. Something about her design in the second door made her look a lot older than she was, but anyways. When the door opened, in it stood a beautiful woman with pure white hair. It was indeed her. Are you surprised? Or did you anticipate her appearance? Though she was not the same age and dressed differently. Okay. So I'm right to notice that. Good. The white-haired girl, whom you saw fall into the hands of misfortune in the era of roses and in the era of the beast, was also present in this era of innovation. Furthermore, she was Jacopo's wife. Oh, okay. Tea? I don't recall asking for that. When were you asked to make it? I wasn't, but it had the leaves with the most wonderful aroma, and I thought you might enjoy... Shut your trap and know your place. What do you think we have all these maids for? Hey now. Don't need to treat your lady like that. She was just trying to be courteous. These are my personal affairs. Please keep your comments to yourself. His friends were unsure how to react, but ultimately, nobody stepped up to stop Jacopo. They merely shrugged, tossing glances at one another. Jacopo stomped over to the white-haired girl. He then grabbed her by the arm and dragged her from the den. Okay, I like the look, but I'm really not liking the characters so far. Damn. Good God. And look, okay, one of my biggest hobbies is I love growing tea plants. I grow God, every mint under the sun. Hummingbird sage. I'm pineapple sage. Uh, Lavender, chamomile. That's one of my favorite things to do. So it's like if I had a woman who came in and was like, hi, I found these amazing leaves. Do you want to drink that? It's like, holy shit, that would be my day right there. Anyways. Oh, let's see what the chat's saying. It looks like David left. Sorry to hear that. I mean, but if David, you're still in the chat, let me know. I feel bad if I don't recognize your name. I feel like I should know you. My apologies. And then Synth, anime white-haired girl, actually knew a few IRL cute chicks who white hair at a young age. I haven't had any in a while, but during my years at college, I was getting gray streaks and hairs here and there. Now, a few years later, I'm, got hair way past my shoulders, and it's all, dark brown. So, I don't know. I'm kind of curious if I'll get white hair pretty soon, though, because I had a grandfather. He had, like, snow white hair at 30. And I'm at that point, so I'm wondering am I going to get the snow white hair or am I going to keep this color? Who knows? But in her case, though, I don't know how much of this playthrough you've been following, Synth, but the white-haired girl in this game, it's due to albinism. She's an albino. Yep, never know what genes you're gonna get. Yeah, I don't know. And that's the other thing too, is like I also have my grandfather's like type of hair. So but hey, you know what? If I actually get snow white hair with my super long, metal hair, rock star hair, I guess you could just turn me. I'll just be an anime character at that point. Anyways, what the hell do you think you're doing? I've told you time and time again to stay away from the room unless absolutely necessary. I'm sorry, but I mean tea and shut up the tea already. You think we're having tea parties in there like a bunch of prissy nobles? My suggestion, as a lover of whiskey and tea, why not both? That would be the ultimate party. This character literally has everything that I want at my fingertips. And he's a dick about it. At a house like that, in this time period, with this aesthetic, and a bar full of cigars, whiskey, and tea, hell yeah. I'm sorry. If you really feel so bad, don't go in there in the first place. No, forgive me. Get the hell back to your room. I meant no harm. It's just, I'm your wife. I thought it would be nice if I could do something. Like I've told you, that's not your job. Don't show yourself in front of the other men. I have nothing else to say to you. Got it? Now scram. Sakes alive. First them, now you. It's driving me up the wall. What is that? I told you to get out of here. Right. But, what? When will you spend time with me next? It's been some time since we last went out together. But we don't even have to go out. Just having dinner together would. How many times are you going to make me repeat myself, you worthless tramp? Are those ears only for show? Get back to your goddamn room. My apologies. Favorite look so far? Favorite designs? Favorite time period? And yes, I know I already said it, but I just... Biggest asshole in the game so far. Well, Yuki-sama, him being a murderer psychopath, was probably morally worse, but... I don't know, this guy's just very, very unlikable. I like the design though, he looks cool. Looking utterly downtrodden, the white-haired girl made her way... made her departure. Such a piteous sight she was. As he watched her go, Jacopo merely snorted. Just thinking about the way he behaved then angers me. I have a little fondness of men who do not treat their spouses with respect. Oh, okay, no. I was like, what do you mean you have a little fondness? No, I'm sorry. I have little fondness for men who do not treat their spouses with respect. So as you can see, the white-haired girl was in hardly a joyous situation. She was devoted to Jacopo and tried to do whatever she could for him, but he did not only brushed her aside, he did so in an insulting, deliberately hurtful manner. They were far from picturesque partners. Do you wonder then, master, why she married him? The answer to that question will come to light in time. For now, let us follow her. Oh my god, the music too is so good! Looking down dejectedly at the undrunken tea, the white-haired girl walked down the corridor. Though its calming scent filled the air, there was nobody around to have their heart warmed by it. Nor was there anyone to alleviate her loneliness. Despite being the master's wife, the maids who crossed her path in the halls said nary a word to her. Oh my god, I am looking the OSTs up after this. As a matter of fact... Huh? Oh dear, I beg your pardon, madame. It's fine. One even bumped into her, stifling a laugh as she trotted off. So everybody's an asshole to her. In all likelihood, she had done it intentionally. The poor white-haired girl, who had fallen to the floor, stared helplessly at the broken cups. The tea she had made for her husband was forming a stain in the carpet. The maid's behavior toward the mistress of the house was absolutely unacceptable. Nonetheless, it was commonplace, all because of the way Jacopo treated her. The more the man of the house acted cruel to her, the less weight her position as his wife held to the servants. Day in and day out, the maids worked busily, offered very little opportunity for leisure, so they would naturally have accumulated quite a bit of stress. And she became the target for them to let off the steam. Not directly, but through a more subdued kind of harassment from the shadows. She must have felt quite miserable. I imagine she would have been better off as one of the maids. On the surface, and in front of the others, they showed respect to her as Jacopo's bride, but behind closed doors, they acted very much the opposite. The disparity between the treatment she received around the others, the treatment she was supposed to receive at all times, and the way she was actually treated made the abuse that much worse. And furthermore, as you have seen through the other doors, master, she was a very reserved young woman. She could neither raise her voice in reprimand nor raise her hand in retaliation. I have to get this cleaned up. She extended her spindly fingers toward the shards of shattered porcelain. But even the broken cup seemed to have no concern to spare for her. A shattered edge cut her fingertip when she made to pick it up. A trickle of warm red blood ran across her unearthly white skin. As painful a sight as it was, it had a sort of taboo beauty to it. The blood spilling from her fingers showed no signs of slowing down. She clenched her hand into a fist, let out a sigh, and went back to collecting shards of porcelain. But when she did... Madam! Madam! What's the matter? Ah, madam, you're bleeding! While all the other maids ignored her, one came running over, shouting to the white-haired girl's side. Okay. When do you get that cleaned and bandaged up? Oh, you don't need to pick that up. That's not your job, madam. It's all right, Maria. There's not much to pick up. It is not at all right. And the rest of you, why are you just standing there? Your boss's wife is on her hands and knees, and you're not even lifting a finger to help her. You disgust me. Maria, it's fine, really. Oh, madam. If you weren't just so timid, this wouldn't happen. You're allowed to yell at them, you know. It's all right, really. It's my fault. Oh. Anyway, we should get that finger taken care of. Let's get back to your room, okay? But the broken cups and the spill. As I said, that's the maid's work. Now, come on, let's go. Oh, okay. And the rest of you, get this mess cleaned up. She roared like the wind in a thunderstorm. The other maids stood there dumbfounded, watching as she and the white-haired girl disappeared down the hall. Excuse me. But they were soon frowning and grumbling to one another. She thinks she can act all high and mighty just because the master is fond of her. Let's see here. Going on 50, still only a little gray. Could look like Johnny Winter. Used to jam with the guy who looked like the Witcher. That's pretty badass. Probably looks good as a biker. Soundtrack volume is really low on stream, but I sort of hear what you're hearing. Let me try something super quick. I'm gonna turn up the game audio a little bit, but let me know if you can hear, if you can still hear my voice, okay? So I went from 20 to 29. Tell me if you can still hear me clearly. The woman's name was Maria. She was one of the maids. And she was the one person in the mansion the white-haired girl could think of as an ally. Though her husband paid her no mind and the maids made her life miserable, just one person, Maria, treated her with respect and kindness. And I'm sure you can readily imagine just how much of a lifesaver that was for her. I too found myself somewhat relieved that Maria was there for her. Being a servant of this house, I was also one of the maids working there at the time. However, I was unable to involve myself to any great degree in her fate. This meant there was little I could do to assist her, even in times of pain and unpleasantness. The best I could do was pray that Maria would continue to lend the white-haired girl her hand. And like I said, let me know if you can hear me still, okay? 1 second. Actually, let me see if I can hear good. Okay. Alright. Sounds good on my end, so we'll go ahead, but mention if it's not working. And that does it. Thank you, Maria. You're always such a big help. Oh no, no need to thank me. I just do what any good maid should do. No one else is in the room, you know. Oh right, then I can drop the act? Man, I just can't get used to talking all stuffy. I'm out there doing my best, but the head maid's still spouting stuff like, your manner of speaker is improper for a servant. Every single time we meet. Yeesh, come on. Just shove it, would you? You're a damn creep. Now, you mustn't speak ill of her like that. Sorry, slip of the tongue. She just kind of gives me the willies, you know? Speaking of, you dropped the stuff you talk too, madam. Kind of awkward if only one of us is acting casual, you know? This is normal for me. If I attempted to talk like you, I would freeze up out of nervousness. This is my casual. Fair enough. Guess that's what happens when you're raised well. I like it though. It's a very regal feel about it. I don't think my upbringing is the only factor. But you know, upbringing is important. Worth a whole lot more money, I'd say. I suppose. Thank you, Maria. You're always so compassionate. You betcha. You don't call me the Virgin Mary for nothing. I practically bleed compassion. You know, that might be true. You very well could be the reincarnation of the Mother of God. Who says that? That's... Who says that? No. You're supposed to laugh at that. It's just embarrassing to hear if you take it seriously. Alone in the white-haired girl's room, Maria was acting much more friendly and relaxed as they conversed, as opposed to her no-nonsense attitude in the hallway. The two women were, as you can see, quite close. They had crossed over the wall separating master from servant and built a bond of friendship. And at some point, they had begun to speak frankly with one another when no one else was around. Maria was the only person in the mansion around whom the white-haired girl felt comfortable being open. Sorry, tongue twister. I imagine she very much enjoyed these moments of conversation. You wish to know who the head maid was? My. Are you sure you want to ask me that, master? Some questions are better left unasked, for your own good. I have to say, madam, you have the prettiest fingers. Mine are all rough and dry and nasty. You think so? Mine haven't the slightest bit of muscle. They're about as frail as dead branches. Oh, who needs beefy mitts anyway? I still think healthy-looking hands like yours are far more attractive. What? What's to like about these things? Sorry. Women all over the world dream of having hands like yours. Slender, feminine, and perfectly cared for. I don't know. Just looking at them lights a fire in my loins. Makes me want to lick every last one of them. Actually, say, can I lick them? No, that's weird. Why are you so weird? Can I run my tongue up and down all 10 of those sweet little digits? Come on, can I? What do you say? Stop that, Maria. Seriously. I'm kidding, I'm just kidding. Oh, Maria. Alright, how about those tea leaves turn out, madam? The ones you imported. All the maids just adore it. They can't get enough of that aroma. I'm sure to get a taste of it. If you end up with extra, think you'd spare some for me? That was what was in the cups I dropped? What? Really? Well, ain't that a crying shame? And Jacopo wouldn't have any of it? God, why does that man have such a stick up his ass? He went through all that trouble of making it for him, and he was busy. It's not his fault. Busy? You mean playing billiards, drinking bourbon, and puffing a damn cigar? Now, as much as I like whiskey, I am not a bourbon guy. A little trivia about me. There are very few bourbons I like, and it's mostly because bourbons, to me, it's like I usually feel ill after I'm done drinking one. I don't know why. They may look to us like they're just making small talk, but I'm certain their meeting has some importance to their business. I read that like it wasn't the white-haired girl. My apologies. It was imprudent of me to step into the men's world. That's just not right. I mean, you're his wife. Why shouldn't you be allowed into the room? It doesn't bother me. You don't have to pretend. Here's an idea. How would you like to have some of that tea now? We also have some orange marmalade, which you like so much. Add a scoop of that and a tray of cookies, and we have the perfect tea time. You're singing the siren song, madam. We really should be doing that with him. He would not have tea. I suspect he does not like it. I don't want it to go to waste, so... Madam, I know it's none of my business, and I have no place at all saying this, but... It's not impossible for a woman to file for a divorce these days. You don't have to sit down and take it, not one bit. You're pretty, well-educated, and still young. There's hope, even if you do leave him. There are plenty of other men out there. You aren't obligated to stick with that arrogant jerk. He's just very busy right now. There you go again. There was a time when he was kind. Huh? He wasn't like this when we first met. Back then, he was a little awkward, but a kind man. Him? A kind man? Yes, believe it or not. It was indeed a time. Say, Maria, would you mind giving me a little bit more of your time? I'll make some tea and we can talk. All right. If you're telling me about when Jacopo was decent, I'm all ears. Indeed. You love bourbon? Yeah, I don't know. A lot of the bourbon tastes are not to my liking, but it genuinely is. The reason why I always will pass up on bourbon is because I just get ill every time. Like, I've actually had to run to the restroom to puke my guts out after having one glass of bourbon. I don't know if it's the taste or what. Anyways. As I'm sure you're aware, our parents arranged our marriage. Before I emigrated to this country to be married, I lived in a misty island nation. Portraits of my ancestors hung in the house where I lived, I remember as a child wincing in fear at the sight of them staring down at me. My mother and father were constantly telling me to show them respect, as it was their hard work that kept our bloodline alive and well. However, they were fighting an uphill battle to do the same. It would have been clear to anybody reasonably perceptive that our house was coming tumbling down. Valuable furniture and paintings slowly disappeared, and eventually, the portraits were gone too. As our house collapsed, so did my parents' health deteriorate, robbing us of any source of income. And though I was educated, I lacked the skills necessary to obtain work. Just as we were about to run out of money and options, my parents received Jacopo's parents' marriage proposition. Both of our families stood to benefit from the arrangement. I had social status, and he had wealth. We each had what the other lacked. What needs more than money to make it in the world? Without at least a semi-reputable name attached to you, you're liable to get laughed out of the most social gatherings. I first met Jacopo here, in this country. We didn't even know what the other looked like until our wedding day. To be quite honest, I was scared to death at first. I was so nervous. What kind of man would he be? Was I to be wed the same middle-aged stranger? We were not marrying because we had fallen in love like a normal couple. I knew I was in no position to be concerned with such things, but when I thought about our future, I shook with fear. But the man I saw through my veil at the wedding was remarkable. He was young, had strong, masculine eyes. At the same time, he too appeared nervous. He was shaking so much. No, even more than me. Seeing that, the priest gave an impish little smirk when he asked Jacopo if he vowed his eternal love to me. I counted myself among the happy, and I still do. For in that moment, I experienced true love. You wanted to hear when he was kind to me? Well, after the wedding, we were given a week to ourselves. I suppose you could call it a honeymoon, though we didn't take a trip overseas or even go very far at all. He looked at me with uncertainty and asked, "Where would you like to go?" I beg your pardon? That's what this week is for, right? I'll consider granting your request, so tell me where you want to go. This is all so sudden. Nothing? Well, this whole engagement was spur of the moment. Normally, we would have planned a whole trip in advance. But unfortunately, our purpose has served as long as we act the part. Must be disappointed that you have to plan your honeymoon as it's happening. No, What? Speak clearly. I don't like it when people don't speak their mind. I'm sorry, but I'm happy. Even if this is a political marriage. Well, you're quite the positive thinker. Your parents say something to make you think that way? Well, either way, if you're glad to be in this arrangement, then hurry up and decide on a destination. Though there is a limit to how far we can go. If you want to take a trip, I'll consider it. What? Is something funny? It just seemed comical to me that our honeymoon has begun and we're only now deciding where we want to go. Not in a bad way, though. I'm glad our parents didn't arrange everything for us. Perhaps you've heard, but I'm quite sensitive to sunlight and not in the best of health. So it would be rather trying for me to spend a full week out of the house. We couldn't go on a trip, but if it's not too much trouble, speak up. Could you show me around town? I'm new to this country and unfamiliar with its customs, and I'm rather afraid to go wandering about on my own. Show you around? Yes. Would that be possible? On a rare bit of time off, you asked me to show you around town. Is that really the most exciting idea you have? I'm sorry. If there's somewhere you would like to go, I'm fine with that. I will accompany you anywhere. As if I could drag someone who just professed being sickly all over the country. My God, I've lost all interest in a trip. Hello? What are you doing? Go get ready, now. I beg your pardon? Didn't you want to see the town? You will show me around? You're the one who asked. Not like I have any other options, so yeah, I'll show you around. Thank you. Don't just stand there, you dullard. Get a move on. One moment. Wait for me, please. He's not as fierce, but he's still a little negative. He hurriedly climbed into the carriage he had called for, a look of frustrated displeasure on his face. And then, as if he had forgotten about me until that moment, he returned, grabbed me by the arm, and led me to the carriage. In retrospect, I realized he was not being very gentlemanly. But I was pleased that he was making any attempt to interact with me at all. As the carriage trotted down the streets, I saw so many new things. I spent most of my time cooped up inside a home, so it was like stepping in an entirely new world. And add to that the rapid industrial advancement currently taking place. I saw men shouting back and forth as they smacked newspaper articles with the backs of their hands. I saw corner cafes crowded with cigar-smoking men on break from work. It was like the hustle and bustle of a festival. But every festival has its downs. I saw overwhelmed men looking like they were on the verge of collapse, drinking water from a spigot on the side of the road. By the way, contrast, I wore fine clothing and a carriage at my disposal. I imagine every day was a struggle for them just to remain afloat. Had I not married the man I had, I too might have found myself in the streets in a similar situation. But it was not relief that spread through my breast at the sight of them. It was the pangs of guilt. It felt to me like a life of opulence was wrong, sinful. It broke my heart to know that I was living so much better than them. Jacopo snorted distortedly at me, seemingly reading my mind, and then said, "The poor man who envies the rich covets his wealth and finds the ambition to make the same for himself, and the rich man who pities the poor, thinking it his duty to give them offerings of philanthropy. To me, the latter is far more nefarious. Excessive charity will ruin a man, make him come to expect handouts. And then there are those with the wrong idea of pity, who let themselves fall down to the same place, mistakenly believing that it will somehow make the poor feel better. What a joke. If you're going to do anything for them, may as well encourage them to climb upward. Spur on economic growth and the flow of capital. Doesn't that sound like a better option?" I say nothing, simply smiling and giving an ambiguous nod. He had a point. My sympathy and guilt meant nothing to people actually experiencing hardship. If, feeling guilty of my own fortune, I acted upon the pity in a way he had described, it would accomplish little more than self-satisfaction. He seemed to have been straight through to my very core. Seemed to have seen straight through my very core. This was a man who was built on his own fortune through investment, which I imagine required him to be rather astute. But doesn't a world where everyone is constantly trying to climb higher and higher sound rather exhausting? I, personally, would prefer to be in a position where I could watch, if only of a distance, as others climbed. But obviously, I cannot say as much to him. Sometime later, the carriage came to a stop in front of a shop. As I looked at the building perplexedly, he gestured to the door with his chin, signaling for me to get out. Lost and confused, I stepped down from the carriage, and before me spread a showcase behind a large glass window. However, lined up in the case were not precarious metals or expensive clothing, but machines. At first, I had no idea what kind of devices they were. Have you never had your photo taken before? No, I have a portrait painted though. Are these machines for taking photographs? A portrait, eh? Why am I not surprised? I did not mean to boast. Go on, get in. Please, wait for me. The owner came out to greet us with a wide smile as we entered the shop. Well, if this ain't the strangest thing I've seen all day. You bringing a lady? And a real looker at that. Where on earth do you catch this pretty little thing? She's my wife. Huh. Well, I beg your pardon. I'll be a monkey's uncle. Just goes to show you never know where the cards may fall. You make it sound like my getting married is some kind of miracle. I always saw you as one to choose money over love, sir. Oh, pardon me. That isn't appropriate for me to say in front of your wife. Do you often come to the shop? On occasion. I need some things here and there from time to time. I see. There you go smirking again. What's so funny? We're going to have our photo taken, yes? I'm so nervous and excited. I've never had one before. And have it taken side by side with you. What are you talking about? Pardon? Who said we were getting our pictures taken? And side by side? Please. You're sending shivers down my spine. But this is a photography shop. Hey, shopkeep. The product I contacted you about, is it ready? Oh, yep. Sit right there. I'll be right out. You take a seat. There's a chair over there. What? I'm going to show you something much more exciting than sitting still and waiting in front of a camera lens. Oh? Just do as I say. Okay. I sat down in front of the large mirror, which I presume was normally used to check your appearance before having your picture taken. Sitting before a mirror with someone else present was quite nerve-wracking. Out of embarrassment, I dropped my gaze to my knees. But when Jacopo returned, I was entranced by the curious object in his hands. That's cute. What is this? Do you know what precedence of vision is? The human eye does not perceive the world 100% accurately. This is especially true for objects in motion. It remembers images for a short time, so you put a new image in the same place. Your eyes perceives it as in motion. Seeing for yourself will be faster than explaining it. You see the slits in the disc? Look through the bottom one and into the mirror. Okay. Good. Just like that. Bring your head in close. Here goes. Standing behind me, he slid his fingers across the top of the peculiar toy, causing it to spin gracefully. And then... I don't know if... I've seen these at like certain museums, and these always are one of the things I find to be super, super cool. Like I said, I'm a dork for, mid to late 1800s stuff. So, what do you see? They're dancing. A man and a woman are dancing. Sounds like you're not having any trouble seeing it. Are they dancing well? Yes, they are. It's the most adorable thing. What? Adorable? That's funny. I asked to have it modeled after a ballroom dance. Yes, it's very elegant dance. But you see, they're small, like little dwarves, which I thought was kind of cute. And they seem so close, going round and round without ever letting go of each other's hands. This is incredible. Why does it look like they're dancing? They were all lined up in a row a few moments ago. Goodness, I just explained that to you. It's playing a trick on your eyes. What you're seeing is a lot of different pictures in a short period of time. To put it in words you might understand better, it's an illusion. Your eyes are being fooled to think the image is moving. An illusion? But they're dancing, they really are. And they look like they're having a wonderful time. Are you sure it's an illusion and not something else? To me, it does not seem to be. I cannot see it as anything but two tiny people dancing. That's how it works. Reach out your hand and try to grab them. You won't be able to. You're right. That's a shame. I didn't think you actually would. But it's the most precious thing. They look as though they're dancing atop my palm. I was mesmerized by the strange phenomena. Pictures were moving, after all. Still images had begun dancing before me. It's almost as if God had breathed life into them. He had called it an illusion, but I could not grasp that. It was such an adorable, heartwarming sight. I imagined the two were off living in some other world, separate from our own. They looked so happy. I was almost certain they were off dancing in their joyous world, free from all the sorrow and loneliness and pain of this one. Eventually, the speed at which dance began to slow, as if they were resting their legs. That's the power of escapism. A lot of times, you look into fiction and, you're able to just feel something that you want to feel that you can't in the real world. I almost thought I could hear the sound of their feet with each step. It does look like... No, it's just a reflection, never mind. They stopped. They can dance forever. They don't get tired. I see. I'm amazed that such an incredible device exists in this world. Makes me wish I had gone outside sooner. I'm sure someone from as distinguished a house as yours has seen plenty of amazing things with your family. Hardly. I rarely ever left the house. I'm ignorant about the ways of the world. If you had not told me, I would have probably never known about moving pictures, the illusion of moving pictures. Do you like it? Yes, of course. More than the portrait you had painted? Yes. Yes, I do. The painting was wonderful too, but you can't seem to make up your mind. Go on, tell me. Which do you like better, the portrait or this? I like this better. I see. He looks somewhat pleased. Though when it comes down to it, this is simply a trick only a child would fall for. Then, I suppose that makes me a child. If it means I get to watch something as splendid as two tiny people dancing, I'll happily fall for the trick. Quit describing it as two tiny people dancing. You're going to lose your head that far up in the clouds. Oh, I'm sorry. I do not know how else to describe it, though. It's a toy called a phenakistoscope. Phenakistoscope. We're gonna go with that. Ugh. Like I said, there's actually a museum. I would say maybe a couple hours away from here that has one of these. Phenakistope? Phenakistocope. I can't fucking say it. Phenakistocope. Phenakis wheel. Close enough. It was invented around 30 years ago. I had the shopkeep make one modeled after the original design. So the shop owner drew this? He did. A lot better than you'd expect, isn't he? Yes, indeed. I'm surprised he could draw something so cute. Say that to his face and he'll go as red as a beet. What I'd give to get a load of that. You should tell him the next time you see him. He's a sweet man. Despite how he looks, you mean. It's not right to judge people based on their appearance. I'm just kidding. Don't take it too seriously. The shopkeeper here loves new technology. That phenakistoscope is one such invention that caught his eye. Phenakistoscope. It's still killing me. You can trick the eye into thinking drawings are moving. Using a sequence of photos, you can perhaps make it seem as though real people are moving too. And if it becomes possible to show those images to many people at once, these developments could broaden the options artists have to express themselves. Not drawings, but photographs? Yes, photos. By taking hundreds or perhaps thousands of photographs, it would be possible to reproduce the world as we see it. This room, people walking down the streets. There's no point in recording boring everyday life, though. If you're going to leave a record of anything behind, it should be the projects and enterprises that move nations. Say, for example, a moving record of the opening ceremony of the railroad. That would be something worth watching. And then, in time, it would expand beyond a mere record-keeping technology and find its way in the hands of artists. Is such a thing possible? You must remain still for a long time just to take a single photograph. Right now it isn't. But eventually, it will be. And I'm not simply fantasizing here. Is that so? It sounds so very futuristic. Do you... What? Do you want to support people who work on that sort of thing? Is that why you are friends with the owner? It has nothing to do with my wants. I merely think there's money in it. The rich starve for entertainment, and artists create that entertainment. I have no interest in their pretentious self-expression. I just want their money. What? What's so funny? You look like you're enjoying yourself. Honestly, it's just about the money. As you say. All right, let's get moving. Next is dinner. What? We're leaving already. Does that displease you? No, not at all. To tell you the truth, I wanted to spend a little more time playing with the Finacus wheel. So she can't even say it. I like that little detail. Okay. But I could not bring myself to say as much. Reluctantly, I approached the owner to return the wheel. Don't bother. Bring it with you. What? But if you don't want it, that's fine too. Just make up your decision quickly. You're making the driver wait. Having said that, Jacopo exited the shop. I alternated between looking at his back and the Finacus wheel, debating what I wanted to do. And then, with a smile, the owner whispered to me. I get an inkling of suspicion I'm about to make a decision, so I'm not falling for that shit again. Okay. Alrighty. You're allowed to keep it, really. Okay, no. Oh, I just noticed something. There's the roses on her hip and her hair was kind of obvious, but I didn't notice them on her hip before. I'm an idiot. Your husband out there had it made it as a gift for you. For me? A little while back, he came to my shop asking if I could make a Finacus scope. Now that about knocked me out of my chair. He's a man who almost never asks for favors. He's pretty damn brusque and he's got a tongue sharp enough to cut steel. But he's not wicked to his core. I swear it. So please, ma'am, be a pillar of support for him. Yeah, it does seem like maybe a little bit of his love of money and his cutthroat business type, because, you know, when she even said, like, you know, are you sure that's all? You know, he did, you know, pause there. In that moment, the Finacus wheel became a precious treasure to me. We had only just married days earlier, and yet he had commissioned it for me without even knowing what it looked like. I was filled with a warm, pleasant elation. I agreed with the owner. Jacopo was not a bad man. He really had difficulty expressing himself. Hurrying back to the carriage, I gave him my deepest thanks. He glanced over me for a moment, then turned back to the window and muttered, "Yeah." From there, we went to a restaurant for dinner. You call this a pizza? The crust is an atrocity. It's like I'm chewing on rubber. How can you wave my country's flag and not serve spaghetti? Do you have any shame at all? This wine is pitifully unbalanced. Far too high levels of acidity. Listen to me carefully. The house wine is the face of a restaurant. He complained about every little thing. It was a complete disaster. But curiously enough, I was not at all put off by his behavior. When the sun set, the carriage made its way to a nearby hill. The cool nighttime breeze felt wonderful on my skin, flushed from the alcohol, and the light from the gas lamps had a comforting warmth to it. Though Jacopo had complained about the quality of the wine, once he had intoxicated himself, his mood improved visibly. It made him unexpectedly talkative. Look out at the city. A gloomy town that shuts down at night isn't suited to expansion or growth. But this city isn't like that. You can see people walking beneath the lamps. You can hear the bustle of them talking. This is a city that has still plenty of room to grow. As they ride the rising wave of the economy, many, many more people will gather here. More people means more money in circulation. More money in circulation means the city grows, companies are founded, and more goods are bought and sold. Will it really change so drastically? It can be difficult to see what's happening from the inside. The majority of people just go about their daily lives, and the next thing they know, things are different. No, I'd wager most don't notice the changes at all. Only those with eyes sharp enough to realize what's happening can see success. I cannot afford to overlook even the most minute change. Do you have a dream of some kind? A dream? I'm not sure if it's easy enough to attain to call it dream. Others might call it greed, or perhaps ambition. Don't laugh now. My intention is to make the world mine. The world? Yes, the world. And to do that, you need neither physical strength nor kindness, but money and influence. People have no choice but to kneel before those forces. Why are you so intent on obtaining power? Because I want to change my country, I imagine. Your country? You are aware that I, like you, am an immigrant, right? I emigrated from an island in the Mediterranean, though not the same island as you. Oh, so is it Sicily? My country is a peculiar place where candor and violence go hand in hand. As a whole, the country is on the poor side, and if nobody does anything about that, I am one but a few of my fellow countrymen who has his sights on the New World. Set his sights on the New World. Sorry. They're falling far behind other nations. If I find success here, perhaps they will catch their attention. But if it doesn't, then my country is doomed to collapse. You have much love for your homeland. And with him bringing up the whole immigrant part, is she still half Japanese? I'm curious if her race changed again. My feelings are a little more complicated than mere love. But that's nothing you need to concern yourself with. Well, I'll have to remember not to get myself drunk around a woman again. Forget everything I just said. It's about time we head back to the house. All right. But, what is it? Is it all right if I provide you encouragement as you try to attain your dream? I know my presence is more likely to be a hindrance, but I would like to be there to watch as you trek forward. I suppose. Do as you wish. Thank you. You have my support then. darling? Sent a shiver down my spine. Oh, not an unpleasant one. I am glad to have you as my partner. I was, without a doubt, happy then. His smile, the things he said, the Phenacus wheel he gave me, they were all undeniably real. And those memories give me the will to wait for the day things go back to the way they were. They allow me to believe. Sorry if you hear sniffing. That's my pupper went up to the mic. Okay. This is something that actually happened to another maid. She heard a sound in the middle of the night. A sound like dripping water. At first, she thought it was raining, so she looked through the window, and there wasn't a cloud in the sky to cover the stars. Maybe it's the faucet, she thought. So she stepped out of her room and into the corridor. Compared to her room, it was unearthly chilly. The maid regretted not bringing something to cover herself with. But that didn't make any sense. Normally, the temperature wasn't that much colder outside her room. Her night clothes had always been more than enough for a trip to the lavatory. Wondering what the reason could be, she made her way around the sound, but then she realized something. There were no faucets in the direction she was going. Rather, she was headed toward a hall. The mansion where she served had many halls, but this one was off in a far corner of the house, the least used hall of them all. It had a high roof, but not a lot of space, so it was difficult to make good use of. It also had somewhat heavy air to it, a very curious room. It was the kind of place you might assign someone as to clean as part of their hazing. Anyway, when the maid realized that... Let's see if we can get this to work. Let's see here. Oh boy, I don't know if it's working or not. I apologize. It says that it's on there, but let me pull up YouTube again. Okay. Looks like it's working. I'm really, really sorry. Okay. Looks like it's working. Yep. Okay. I am really, 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 really sorry about that. But I had to reload. I don't know what happened there. Elgato literally just crashed, and it looked like my whole computer crashed with it because I could not even scroll the mouse around. But I had to. I went ahead and because I had to go back from the last save. Good thing I saved it not too far, long before it had crashed. But I had to save it, and I had to skip back ahead to where we left off. I actually went through a whole conversation between two characters before I'd noticed that it had crashed. So, not a fun time. Anyways, I'm going to get past the portion that it crashed during, and then maybe go a little further. But then after that, we will probably call it there for the night. But I want to get back to that because I actually did find the conversation that happened that you guys missed out on. I actually found that very interesting. So, because it reveals a little something about the characters, possibly. Anyways, I'm actually going to remind and on minds that my thing is back up. technical difficulties fixed. Back. I'm live again. Awesome. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I got no clue what that was about. I'll make sure to give my program a glance every few minutes, make sure everything is running smoothly. Anyways. Anyway, when the maid realized the sound was coming from that particular hall, she, as you might expect, let out an uncomfortable sigh. But there might be a leak. And having noticed, she couldn't simply ignore it, you know. So, oh, shoot. Forgive me, I missed that. 1 second. Wait. So, as much as she hesitated, she pushed open the doors to the hall. There was nobody there. It didn't look like anything was leaking either. There was no puddles or water stains anywhere to be found. But she could still hear the sound, drip, drip, getting louder and louder. Slowly stepping further into the room, looking left, then right, then left again, she searched for the source of the sound, coming to a stop in the center of the hall. She stood there, still, quiet, and then a chilly spot on the nape of her neck. With a little yelp, she reached back to feel her neck, but it wasn't wet. Confused, she slowly, warily, tilted her head backward. And there hung a bloody skeleton from the ceiling! Gah! That's rich. Amazing. Oh my God, you screamed like a little girl. But Maria, you little... My God, are you men or children? This is my house, and I would rather you didn't talk about it like that. Whose words were those again? Shut your mouth. How do you even know about that? Were you eavesdropping? And another thing, I do not care for the sort of stupid, fantastical tales you women so love to pass around. Because they scare you. Ah, you've never been able to handle anything scary, Jacopo. Whoa, don't glare at me like that. You're gonna destroy my sides. So, did you come here for the sole purpose of telling me that cheap tripe? Acting tough like after the fact makes you look twice as much of a wuss. Well, I mean, I did make up a good half of it, but the maid really did hear a sound in the middle of the night. And it came from the back hall of this very mansion. Did you know they say it used to be a chapel? Again, I have no interest in you women's little ghost stories. Is that so? You sure you're not just scared? Maria! Well, that said, the rumors aren't completely unfounded. This is a pretty old mansion, and it's had a lot of work done on it. Kind of feels like it's barely holding itself together. Like a big old quilt from pieces from all different time periods. The back hall is one of the oldest patches. There's a huge window on the far end, and supposedly, there used to be stained glass in it. It was a depiction of an archangel, they say. Such a shame. Wonder when it was broken. If I was still there, I'd bet it'd be worth a fortune. I find that hard to believe. First of all, why would anyone put a chapel inside a mansion? You've got a point, I guess. Now, how about you do some actual work instead of distracting yourself with all this nonsense? I do work, but, yellow maids can be a bit nasty, you know? Dealing with other women is like walking on glass. Am I to blame for that? What if I said you were? Don't give me that look. They're just not fond of me, simple as that. Nothing you can do about it. Is that so? Oh yeah, I was just talking to the madam, and she was telling me you used to be quite the gentleman. Were you, perhaps, actually in love back then? You sure don't act like it, so it's easy to miss. But I guess you're not made entirely of steel. Just like when just like when you were younger, you're still... Don't speak of that. The past is not worth remembering. It is unnecessary. So do you. The past exists just to be cast aside? That's not important. You don't want me to talk about it, I won't talk about it. But your wife... Never mind. I'll leave you be. I have to get back to work soon, or I'll be staring down at the head maid's Arctic smile. Alright. If the fancy strikes me, I'll drop by and we can trade more ghost stories. Maria. What? No ghost stories? No, not that. I have not forgotten those days. But, no, it's... I'll be off then. Alright. If the fancy strikes you, drop by if we could trade something other than ghost stories. What'd I tell you? I'll consider it. Goodbye. So, I'm wondering if they were interested in each other once upon a time. Then when he gets married, obviously he can't, you know, if there was a relationship between the two, they can't really continue that. So, because it was an arranged marriage. God damn it. I can't escape anything. And this is where I realized that this is where I realized that that my stream crashed. Whoops. So let's go ahead and save it here, especially since, you know, we don't want to repeat the stream crashing and me having to go back there. So let's do. Alrighty, and now we're back in the rose garden. Haha, they've grown to be so beautiful. Such a wonderful fragrance. The scent of roses is so calming. I wonder why that is. Would it cause any trouble if I picked one? Well, Hello there. Out for a midnight stroll, are you? Quite the peculiar hobby. Madam? Uh, um, I cannot spend as much time as I would like outside during the day, so I end up coming out at night. I apologize if I startle you. Oh, not at all. There is a chilling, captivating beauty to the sight of your snow-white form standing in the moonlit garden. Sorry. I would hardly... what are you doing out so late? I saw a figure through the window. On the slight chance it might be a burglar, I thought it my responsibility to ensure they did not break in. It was also the middle of the night when the grocer's servant broke into their safe. We've heard that before. News of that spread quite far. I'm sure you would have heard about it. We've heard that very line, if not mistaken. Oh, but Gamache was imprisoned some time ago. Dear me, cannot seem to get my head out of the past. Interesting. Do you intend to give that white rose to someone? Yes. I was thinking of giving it to my husband. While I expect he has little fondness for such feminine tastes, the scent of flowers has a truly calming effect. He might find it relaxing when he needs a reprieve from his work. Oh, is that so? You are very kind-hearted. Speaking of white roses, the rose he meant to give you was the same shade of white. Oh, he. But when you touched it, it turned a deep shade of red. Oh. Okay. There was but a single white rose in the garden, so he was unable to give it to you as he had wished. In its place, he had a decorative rose fashioned for you. What exactly are you referring to? Okay, so she is not aware of her past selves, it seems. But the maid is. Oh dear. Oh dear. Do you not remember? Then I am to assume that you have forgotten about what happened to the rose accessory as well. He was unable to give that to you either. But that time, because you rejected the gift. I'm not criticizing you for that decision, of course. You had a perfectly good reason for not accepting it. Is our character the white-haired girl by chance? Because when our character did go past the mirror, we did think that we may have seen a glimpse of white hair. Heartbroken from having lost you, he buried the rose in this garden. Over the years, the roses in the garden withered away, and in their place grew a thick, unsightly nest of weeds. Many, many years later, that accessory was dug up by a beast, and curiously enough, it had not a speck of rust on it. A beast? You do not remember him either? The foreign man, through his interaction with you, almost regained his humanity. That might be stretching it, Miss Maid. That might be stretching it. I'm sorry. I have no idea of what you speak of. The only gift I ever received from a man is my Fanacus wheel. And furthermore, I've only lived in this mansion for a year. While the garden was not thriving as it is now, it was certainly not in ruins when I arrived. Because I had been taking care of it, yes. But, for whatever reason, by my hands alone, I was unable to make it into anything quite as splendid as it is now. Once you arrived and began to work on it, however, just look around. You have restored it to its former glory, to the magnificence of the flaxen-haired family's time. I promise I'm not trying to fault you for anything. Now that I think about it, it makes sense you would not remember. Though you are still you are different than before. Different, though not in the sense you are a wholly distinct person. Tell me, your name is, again? My name is, yes, but you should already know that. Again? More proof indeed that you are you. Did you know that your current name is pronounced the same as the name of the person you are waiting for? What are you talking about? I have met you many times, and I know of your past, of events that transpired long, long ago. I'm telling you the truth. I first came to this mansion just a year ago. Until then, I never left this country, or even set foot out of my own house. We did not have any servants either. So then, where are you saying we met? This mansion, of course. But I'm telling the truth. It was a year ago, shortly after my parents fell ill and received an offer for my marriage. I knew something had to be done. I knew it. And so I'm telling the truth. If that is all you remember, then I do not doubt you. But I also suspect I know why you seem so flustered. Are there moments when your memories seem hazy? When it seems like an important detail has fallen through the cracks? You needn't fret. One day, eventually, you shall remember all. One day. What the hell is this? A white rose? Did she leave this here? A flower? What does she think she's doing? Is she trying to aggravate me? That garden. That damn rose garden is the whole problem. Flowers serve no purpose but to deceive. That garden is a sign of weakness. It has no place in this house. Approximately a week had passed since then. The white-haired girl was, as usual, spending her time in her room reading, staying inside the house. Then Maria barged in. Madam! Madam! Oh my, you're out of breath. What happened? What happened is we have a big problem. The garden. The rose garden. The garden? All the roses you put so much love and care into growing are being chopped down. We'll lose them all if we don't hurry. Upon hearing the news, the white-haired girl dashed from her room and toward the garden, with Maria following close behind. When she arrived, she saw a dozen or so sweaty, rugged men at work, Jacobo shouting orders. The men clearly had no concept of how much a single flower was worth, no concern whatsoever for their beauty. for they mercilessly, thoughtlessly hacked away at the shrubs like they were naught but weeds. Hello, phantom crustacean. This is interesting. It's hard to find streamers that do VN, let alone ones like these. So consider me. Oh well, thank you. Well, I hope I'm somewhat entertaining. Forgive me if I'm not. But yeah, you also have to forgive me. I'm continuing off from the stream. Actually crashed a little bit ago, so I'm just picking up where I was. So, anyways. Each flower they tore from the earth extinguished another of the many lives the white-haired girl had put so much time and effort into attending for. Jacopo, what are you... Oh, hello, Maria. I didn't expect you would come with her. Why would you do... Why? Why, it goes without saying. This house is no need of a garden. Damn flowers have no place here. Might as well do something worthwhile with the soil. A miniature railroad would be better use of this space, and certainly a great deal easier on the eyes. I can even get my hands on some genuine wheels. The same wheels being used on the revolutionary Transcontinental Railroad. 10 or 20 years down the line, they'll be worth a fortune. Jacopo, you know how much this garden meant to me, don't you? Hmm? Did it honestly have no place here? Flowers have a calming effect on people. They give you peace. They are not, by any means, worthless. So you're saying that your white rose was your passive-aggressive way of telling me to calm down? What? Not at all. I simply thought you... At the end of the day, you're just using them for your own purposes, to trick and deceive. To you, this rose garden was nothing but... Jacopo! You've gone too far. This isn't right. Gone too far? This is my mansion. What I do with my property is my business. With that rose arch out of the picture, we'll have a much better view. There won't be anything blocking the sun any longer. Weren't you supposed to be sensitive to sunlight? Spend too much time out here and you're liable to fall ill. Get back inside now. You too, Maria. The poor thing, though she did not say a word, was surely thinking, "Are you truly that determined to rob me of my sanctuary?" The words twirled around in her head, unable to make the final journey to her lips. She stood there, looking down at her own feet as her husband marched off, and listened to the screams of the roses being reaped. You have a pretty good narrating voice, so I'd say you're good. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much. After being torn down by Jacopo, the garden reverted to a state of ruined desolation. A shame after all the work they went into restoring it to the beauty it had under the flaxen-haired family. And as Jacopo had said, in its place went scraps of metal, train wheels, prototype models, carbon rods. These items may have had value for him, but I certainly do not think it was worth robbing his wife of a place that made her feel comfortable, just so he could store them there. Besides, I was rather fond of the rose garden myself. The rose seemed to evoke a sense of nostalgia in me. I felt as though somewhere far beyond the edge of my memories, I had seen another garden of roses, modest though it may have been, but I cannot remember when it was. Does that come as a surprise to you? I'm quite sure there are periods of the mansion's history of which I am not aware. But in any case, Jacopo had caused many people great pain in order to repurpose that garden himself. And he continued to walk all over his wife. Whenever she tried to do something kind for him, he would brush her off, saying, "That's not your place." He paid no mind whatsoever to the looks of dejection that rose to her face each time he rejected her. I was beginning to wonder if anything she had said about the man she had been a year earlier was actually true. And if it was true, could a person really go through such a drastic change of heart in such a short time? What do you think, Master? No. I've spoken enough about me already. I seem to be talking a lot about myself this time. But that is hardly appropriate behavior for a maid. Now, let us return to our tale. That evening, the white-haired girl sat in her room staring sorrowfully at her finacus wheel. A small mirror before her, she tried spinning the paper disc. But it was not the same as before. Her husband was not there at her side. Even more critically, there was not a smile on her face. And then, she heard a faint knock at the door. Who is it? It's me, madam. It's me. May I come in? Oh, Maria. Of course, come in. What are you doing here at this time of night? I was just wondering how you were doing. Sorry, it was just messaging. Anyways, should I have left you alone? Oh, it's no trouble at all. I'm always glad to have you. You're making me blush, madam. I got the feeling you were a little down in the dumps. So I'm not here because I need to be. I just kind of ended up here, I guess. Maria. Sorry, I'm not making any sense. I can be a bit of a busybody, you know? Trouble with boundaries, I guess. Never been able to fix that. No, I don't consider you intrusive at all. I cannot count how many times your bright smile and cheerful energy has shone a light on me when things were dark. If I didn't have you, I would have given up already. You seem to see right through me. Even now, you are exactly right. I'm feeling a little dispirited. The garden was an even bigger life draft than I thought. Perhaps I'm being overly dramatic. The roses were almost like children to me. I get it, I do. You put your heart and soul into tending that garden. It was obvious how much you loved them. Of course it's gonna hurt watching a bunch of men stomp all over your flowers when you cared for them like your own children. Now, I know I said this once already, but you don't need to force yourself to put up with him, really. You don't have to bend to his will just because you're a woman. You can survive without him. Anytime you want to walk away, that's your choice. I mean, I'd sure be lonely if you left, madam. But your happiness is more important than any of that. Is she if her and Jacopo had a relationship, is she trying to press her to divorce so that she can try to marry him? I wonder. So, you know, thank you, Maria. I truly do appreciate it. But I would still like to wait for the day I can see his warm smile once more. If you say so. Well, in that case, I'll just have to be there to back you up. It'll be all right. You'll leave everything to this holy virgin. I'll have a stupid grin on my face no matter how down you're feeling. You really are the reincarnation of the Mother of God, aren't you? Oh, I told you it's just a joke. Whatever. So hey, madam, how about a dance? A dance? At this time of night? Yep, and since it's so late, no loud music. All you get is a little whistling courtesy of me. But this room is too small for... We'll use the Great Hall. Wouldn't that put us in everyone else's way? He would probably complain about the noise too. No need to worry. Jacopo's out inspecting some factory or something today. After that, he's got a meeting, so he'll be staying the night elsewhere. The rest of the maids are in the rooms chatting anyway. No one will notice. Where I come from, we dance all the time. We take eat, drink, and be merry to heart. No food or drink for us, but we absolutely can dance. Dancing's a great way to forget all your cares. I'm not much of a dancer. No big deal, nobody's watching. Come on, put a little fancy perfume and let's have some fun. I don't have any perfume though. Didn't think so. You've got all the right ingredients, madam, but you don't try to make anything special out of them. You've got so much potential, but not even a decent-sized wardrobe. At the very least, you should wear some perfume. Which is why, ta-da! I brought some with me. The maids are in love with this stuff. It's a big hit with women all over the country. The base is vanilla, and it's got several other fragrances mixed in. Give it a try. It smells divine. But Maria, Come on, where's the harm? Just a little splash on your wrist, like so. What do you think? You were right. It smells wonderful. Doesn't it? So you like it? Yes, very much so. Excellent. Now, off we go. Great. Are we really going to dance? You bet your butt we are. It's not healthy to hole up in your room all day. I know you can't handle a lot of sunlight. You still gotta have some fun and move your body. Come on, let's go. Oh, Maria. Though she looked outwardly uncertain as Maria led her forward, hand around her wrist, the white-haired girl seemed to be enjoying herself on the inside. Having spent her whole life without a single friend, she never dreamed the day would come she would find herself being dragged through the empty halls of a dark mansion by another woman. Maria's presence seemed to shine a light upon the quiet corridor. It would have been a very lonely trek without her. Maria spun around, gave an impish smirk, and raised her pointer finger to her lips with the soft shh. The sight of it caused the white-haired girl to chuckle quietly. The two of them, on their way into their secret private ball, were like two adolescent girls. In short order, they arrived at the Great Hall. My heart was pounding all the way here. What's there to be nervous about? It's not like you're breaking any rules. Only kids get in trouble for staying up late. Once you've grown up, you're responsible for yourself. must say, though, it seems rather odd for two women to dance together. Oh, you're having a good time. What's it matter? What's between your legs? Where I come from, there's dances where families lock arms in a big ring and go around in circles. So who says two girls can have some fun together? I imagine you have many good moments with your family. Well, I don't have a family anymore. What? Alright, so I'll show you how it's done. Watch carefully, because you're up next. Okay. With a wide grin on her face, Maria began whistling softly and prancing around the floor with an energetic rhythm. It was not the kind of complicated dance you'd see at fancy parties. The motions were simple, flowing, unembellished. A folk dance, I suppose you might call it. She seemed to be improving a little bit as well. But in any event, the white-haired girl was captivating. Despite it being a sequence of steps anyone could replicate, Maria breathed life into the dance. She was neither as lithe as an acrobat, nor as light as a... God damn, I'm sorry. She was neither as lithe as an acrobat, nor as light on her feet as a professional dancer. She was on her own, lively, beautiful self. Maria twirled in place, the skirt of her maid uniform billowing gently up around her. With a smile, she extended her hand toward the white-haired girl. She hesitated for a moment, but as if being pulled forward by some invisible force, she took Maria's hand. Hand in hand, Maria ushered the white-haired girl into her dance. It was just the two of them, but you could almost see the crowd forming around them, the other people stepping up to join in. That's it, madam. Doing great. Now, lift your leg up good and spin like so. This is not easy, Maria. I'm having trouble following along. You can do it. Looking good so far. You're natural, madam. Oh, Maria. I won't fall for your flattery. I mean it. The whispers of two girls. Their muffled laughs. Step, hop, step, step. The rustling of fabric. Many different sounds layered on top of one another, creating a little bubble of happiness in the center of the hall. The white-haired girl's movements were a great deal clumsier than Maria's, but Maria would never disparage her for that. On the contrary, she showered her with praise. As flustered as the white-haired girl appeared, I imagined she was quite pleased. Before long, the tightness in her face muscles loosened, a smile spread across her lips, and she began to brighten up. See, what'd I tell you? Fun, huh? Yes, I'm quite surprised. Both that I can dance and that I enjoy doing it so much. Glad to hear it. They exchanged looks and both laughed. That might have been the first time I had ever seen the white-haired girl so delighted. However, because of her infirmity, she quickly found herself out of breath, her porcelain skin flushed red. Maria immediately stopped for a break. She could surely have continued dancing for some time yet, but Maria was conscientious of the white-haired girl's physical condition. She looked over at Maria regretfully. My apologies. If only I had more stamina. I'm hardly a suitable partner for you, Maria. Sure you are. This is all to cheer you up, madam. So as long as you're having fun, nothing else matters. And heck, I'm enjoying myself plenty too. What do you think? Wouldn't it be nice to do this again sometime? Whenever you're feeling down, let's dance. If you really do enjoy dancing with a frail girl like me, then I would be glad to. Well, more confidence in yourself, madam. You're so pretty and kind-hearted. I have loads of fun going on with you. So don't you think you need to be too harsh on yourself. Got it? Thank you. The pleasure is mine. 'Tis an absolute honor to have the rare opportunity to have such a bright smile on your face, madam. My apologies for keeping you out so late. I should get back to my room. Oh, I didn't even realize what time it was. I'm more than up for a little more gum flapping. You have improved my mood more than adequately. I would not want you to be tired for work tomorrow. Okay. Well then, let's get out of here. Yes, let's... Smiles on both sides of their faces, they made to exit the great hall. However, before they reached the door, it swung open. A man's towering shadow cast the two women into darkness, his cold, bitter glare fixed on them. If I'd even have the faintest premonition this might happen, I would have done anything in my power to stop the two cheery girls on their way to the hall. But I am internally powerless. What are you doing? Standing before them in the doorway was the master of the house, Jacopo. I thought you would not be back until tomorrow. And how would you know that? No, forget that. Does my staying the night elsewhere have any effect on you? You were just waiting for this opportunity, weren't you? No. What would I possibly want you to out of the house for? I'm sure you know better than anyone. What? What is that smell? Perfume? When did you get perfume? And I have to say, you seem to be having quite the time. Look at you. You're out of breath, red as a beet. I made the right decision coming back. Where the hell were you going? No, I wasn't going... Jacopo, calm down, seriously. You shut it. Now you're taking this tramp's side? Huh. I've told you before you're not to leave this house without first consulting me. Or do you mean to tell me that you've forgotten? God, your ears aren't just for show, all right. They're better than that. They'll even throw out the parts you don't want to hear. No, I swear, I wasn't doing anything. You... Silence! I have no interest in your excuses. You're always watching from the shadows, observing, trying not to step on anyone's toes. And in the back of your mind, you're mocking me. No, Listen up and listen good. You just try stepping out of line again. You just try disgracing me again. You will not get away with it. For the love of God. Get back to your room now. You too, Maria. All right. God, what is this sickening sweet smell? How utterly infuriating. I'll take forever to get this off me. I always thought you had at least some sense of taste. Why did he have to disparage her so? What did she do wrong? What did she do to deserve that? She did nothing whatsoever wrong. She deserved none of the ridicule he showered her with. However, she was not a strong-willed woman. She did not have the courage to retort to the man yelling at her. And neither did Maria, it seemed. Without another word, they both scrambled out of the great hall, away from Jacopo. The white-haired girl was a painfully miserable sight to behold. The cheer had drained from his spirit, and the rosy hue from her now pale cheeks. She was hunched forward slightly, looking like a small, scared animal. Say, I'm sorry. This is all my fault. If I didn't ask you to dance, Me bringing the perfume only made things worse. No, you need not feel bad about anything, Maria. Everything you did was with my best interests at heart. So, don't worry. I will be fine. Yeah, that face doesn't look fine, Jesus. So, madam, I'll clear everything up. I really am to blame after all. He wouldn't even give you the time of day if you tried. He's a stubborn little shit when he's mad. I'll talk to him. He's more likely to listen to me. I'll make sure he knows he was just jumping to conclusions, and I'm the one who dragged you out of there to dance. And also that I forced you to wear the perfume. I'll clear everything up, okay? So please, you cheer up. It would be best if I could tell him myself. But yes, you are right. He would likely not listen to me. He rarely ever listens to me. I should be ashamed. I cannot even hold a simple conversation with my own husband. These things happen, you know? It's not easy being married, in a lot of ways. Yes, you're right. I apologize for having you do something so unpleasant, but I would appreciate that. Oh, no problem. I'm happy to. No need to apologize. I've got this. I'll dunk his head in cold water until he's blowing steam from his ears anymore. I'll cool him down, I promise. And you never know, maybe he'll open up to listening. You could be back to the way you were a year ago in no time. Don't you worry, I'll take care of it, madam. Be positive. You look so much better with a smile on your face. All right. Thank you. I doubted Jacopo would listen, even coming from Maria. And I imagine the white-haired girl felt much the same way. However, she grabbed onto that sliver of hope. She let herself dream. She let herself believe, even just faintly, that everything would go well. Such is human nature. When uncertainty has you in its clutches, you grasp at whatever you can find to keep yourself afloat. That night, she did not sleep. She was afraid that even in her dreams, Jacopo would be shouting at her. She felt as though her memories of a year prior were beginning to crumble away. Alrighty. I think we're going to cut it there for today. Whew. So, yeah, I don't know what to make of Jacopo, and he seems to, there's a lot more going on there than him just being an asshole. I would like to learn a little more about him to figure out what it is that's going on. Let's go ahead and save it. And given that, given the past two stories, I'm unfortunately wondering if what's going on is, I'm a little nervous that what's going on here is that Maria and Jacopo had a relationship before the forced marriage, and I'm worried that the reveal and the tragedy here is going to be that Maria has just been trying to get them to split so that she can have him back. And now that's just a theory. I'm hoping it's not real, because holy shit, white-haired girl in this one is just absolutely miserable. And it would be nice to have somebody be happy for once, but yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen in this game. This seems to be just tragedy all around. So anyways, thanks for stopping by and watching. Thanks for anybody who has been enjoying the little playthrough. We'll see where this takes us next. I'll figure out when I'm going to pick up the next piece again. And I'll throw an announcement on minds.com, and then also I'll throw the announcement in the Discord servers once that's all set. But anyways, I appreciate everybody for stopping by, and hopefully you're staying warm in all the cold weather going on, and just making sure you're staying safe, and look for anything that you can to be happy about. And if you can't find it, I hope that you find it sooner than later. So, all right, guys, stay safe, stay happy, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.